Hi, I'm Miss Haley with the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how to fold an origami 8-point star. This is a super simple origami craft once you get used to it and get the technique down, but I do recommend it for older elementary school students, middle school students and teenagers, and adults. It can be a little frustrating, so if your child is on the younger end, if you're on the younger end, you might want to get some help from a parent because this can be a little complex and requires some pretty good fine motor skills. So to give you an example of our 8-point star, I have already folded one. It's right here. And I did a sunset one, but I don't really like the reds and the bright yellow. I don't like how they come next to each other because of the way the sunset is designed. So I've altered it a little bit for you guys. So I am using these colors, which on my star here, they are these 4 colors right here. So we're going to go around once and then we're going to go back around, and I think they'll complement each other really well without having to do any kind of confusing order to this star. For this I am using, there it is, looking for my paper. I'm using this paper pack. I'm pretty sure I got it at Walmart in the craft section, and you can order their stuff online for pickup, curbside pickup, which is great. Although a lot of stores now are offering that, so you probably have some options there. You do not have to do a sunset one. You can do any colors you want. You could even do all the same color. Black looks really cool, and I do recommend a solid color for this though. Prints are okay, but I feel like they don't look quite as neat as a solid color does. But that is entirely up to you. You can use prints as well. This is a fairly heavy cardstock, which means it's a thicker paper. You could also use scrapbook paper. The scrapbook paper weight is a little bit thicker than just regular old paper, and it works too, but it's not going to be as stiff. So this star here is just really, really stiff. And in some ways that will help you. It'll be easier to fold. This one was pretty, required some tough folding, and fitting it all together was a little hard. But the downside to a thinner paper, weight paper, to just regular, so like regular scrapbook paper, is that you're not going to get as much dimension to it. So this one, you can see I'm kind of poking it down. It has like a 3D effect to it. You're going to get a flatter effect with regular scrapbook paper. So just keep that in mind. You can try it both ways if you want. But this craft is super duper simple. In terms of supplies, all you need are 8 pieces of paper that are cut into squares. So whatever your measurement is, you can make them big or small. You could do a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. You can buy that in sheets or packs at craft stores usually. These though, if you want one exactly like mine, this is an 8.5 by 8.5. So my paper is your standard kind of computer size paper. So it was 8.5 by 11. So I kept one side and I cut the other one to 8.5 as well. So I have 8.5-inch squares of paper, and I have 8 of those. So we are going to start, and I'm going to show you how to do this a couple of times, and then I will fast forward for the rest of the folding because it takes a while. So the first fold you are going to make is you are going to fold one corner up to another corner. So you're going to make a triangle. So line it up. Make sure you're really well lined up. You want to be pretty precise with this craft, as you do with most origami. So I like to line it up, make my fold, and then come and crease all the way to the sides. I'm not making super firm creases. They're fairly firm, but they're not super firm. I'm not running my fingernail or a hard object across them, and that is because my paper, don't know if this will show up on camera, but you see my paper has a white edge. That's because my paper is actually, the color is only printed on the paper. It is not the whole paper. There's probably a fancy term for that in terms of paper making. But so my base paper is actually white with color on either side. And because of that, if I crease it really hard, you'll start seeing some white come through. You can already see a couple spots. So I just want to avoid having a lot of that on there. But you can look at your paper. If you don't have that white edge, if you have a colored edge, you can crease a little more firmly than I am. So you're going to unfold it, and now we have this crease line right here. So we're going to fold this corner up until it hits this crease line, and so that this edge of the paper right here is in line with this crease line. And I'll show you what I mean, because I know that can be confusing. So I'm pulling this up and I'm lining it up so that this edge of the paper right here is lined up with that crease mark. And you might have to kind of pull it in multiple places. And I like to come down and get my corner first on this, because that corner can be really hard to form. You do want a pretty nice point, especially on this fold. This is going to be the point that is on the outside of our star. So all those points, that's what we're folding right now. So you want a decent point there. If it rips, you might want to start over, or you can flip it and do it on the other corner, and then we'll fix it later. So I'm going to turn. I'm going to do the same thing with this one now. So I'm going to fold this corner up so that this edge of the paper meets this. So like this. Kind of tuck it. It's not wanting to come all the way up. There we go. Okay. So now you should have this shape right here. It's kind of like a kite, I guess. It's a kite shape. So now let's turn it so that the unfolded point is facing you. We're going to do the same fold that we just did, but with this edge. So we're folding this point over to here, and this edge is going to line up with the crease. So, and we'll be folding over this. So we're going to just line it up with that crease. Again, I'm going to fold my point first and crease that whole thing. This is the part where, say you had ripped your big point, you could flip it, unfold it, flip it, fold the big point so that that was the big point, and then this way, if you had a rip down here, it doesn't matter. So if you're ripping this, because it's very easy to rip those points accidentally as you're folding them, if you rip it on this short end, doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. So don't freak out if you did. Go ahead and just gently tear away that little piece of paper. Hopefully it's small. If it's a huge chunk, you might want to restart. But if it's just a little tiny piece off the end here, like a finger size, like a fingernail size piece, just go ahead and tear it the rest of the way off and it'll be okay. So we're going to do the same thing with this other one. So we're going to fold it up. I'm going to just adjust my angle here so I can see as well as you guys. Again, I'm going to make my point first, and then I'm going to fold downward. So what you should have now is a really long diamond shape. So this is the tricky, well, it's not the trickiest part, but it's a little weird to have to describe it. So this is where seeing it happen is going to work best for you. So we're going to leave this point facing you. So have the two folds you just folded facing you. And the fold that you didn't just fold, we're going to fold it down so that this edge right here lines up with this edge right here. So the edge, the top edge right here of that fold we just made. So it's going to look, and you kind of have to force it, especially if you're using thick cardstock. We're getting into fold territory where it doesn't want to do it. So you can see I'm lining this up right here, and then I'm going to press down and make a fold like that, and then I'm going to unfold it I'm going to do it the same the other way. So this side is going to line up with this fold. So this one with this one. So like that. And I find that the second fold is a little easier. Something about that first fold we just did makes this one go a little easier. So like that, and then you unfold it. So what you should have now is like a little X of fold lines. So what you're going to do, this is the tricky weird part, is you're going to kind of fold those back. So you want this fold, this X line, the bottom one, you want it to kind of be more, okay. So you're going to fold it back, so it's going to look kind of like that from the side. Show you all the angles there. And then you're going to close this one up. So, fold back, close up. You might have to kind of tuck it in so that you get this. And then you're going to just kind of gently force that down so it's flat. Now you see here, my point's not wanting to be pointy, it's crumpled. So before you just smush it, what you want to do is kind of stick your finger in here and just run it up and push that in so that it's going in like the rest of it. And then you can kind of shape it into a point. Like that. So when you're done, this is your final product for now. It'll be a star in a minute. You should have this, I don't know, it looks like a crow's beak. You should have this little shape here where it's two, I guess, triangles, and there's a shorter one and a longer one. Kind of looks like part of a crown. And so this is one unit of your star. So you're going to set that aside and you're going to fold another. If you're using multiple colors, make sure if they're close together, you make sure you keep them straight. I'm going to show you this on a different color paper. I'm going to do the light one, just in case it shows up a little differently on the camera. So I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to go a little faster. So step 1, fold into a triangle. And step 2 is unfold. Step 3, fold one corner and edge up to that crease mark. Do the same, step 4, I've lost track of my steps. Do the same with the other side. It's a little easier because you have the other fold to kind of line up with. Again, make sure your point right here is a really nice point. That's the point that matters. That's our long point. Alright, so now you should have a kite shape. You're going to turn it so that the unfolded point faces you. We're going to do the same fold. We're going to fold this side up to match that crease line. Like that. And then we're the same thing on this side. I like this origami craft because there's really only one super weird fold, and it's the last one. And once you've done it once and know what to do, it's easy. So now we're going to fold this one so it matches up with this. We're on step like 6 now. I don't know. I lost count. Alright. So like that. And we're going to crease. You might have to kind of be gentle with your paper, but kind of force it to crease where you want it to crease at this point. It's going to get a little harder. Unfold, and now we're going to fold the other way so that this edge matches up with this one. This one should be a really easy fold. You see how easy that was for me? I just folded it right on over and it was already in position. It was just great. Unfold. Now you should have your X. So you're going to fold that back so that the bottom of your creased X is getting folded, and I like to kind of pinch that little bottom with my fingers, and at this point you kind of look like this. Now we're going to fold this in. So we're going to fold it together like that. I'm just going to really firmly squish it. So now we're going to squish here, and we're going to run our finger up and force that so it's not crumpled. If we just flatten it now, it'll be a crumpled mess. We're going to force that back into a point. And just kind of tucking it in. And my end really doesn't want to be a point. There we go. And then you can kind of flatten it and really firm up some of those folds and crease marks if you want. And you should have the shape. So again, 2 triangles, short point, long point. All right. So I have 2 units right now. So I'm going to go ahead and fold the rest of my units, and then I will be back in a bit. I'm going to speed it up. Okay, so I have folded my last one. So I have 8 of these. I have those 2, these 2, these 2, and these. So I'm knocking my camera around. And now we are going to fit them together into a star. It's kind of like fitting them together into a circle. So I'm going to set these aside where I can grab them easily. And we're going to start, it doesn't really matter which color we start with. I guess I'm going to start with this bright orange. I think this is my brightest, darkest color. And we're going to fit it into my next one, which is this sort of PG. I don't know if you can really see the right color on the screen, but in my office light here, it's kind of a peachy orange. It kind of looks red on my screen though. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit the small point of this one into the large point of this one. So we're not just going to stack it there. That doesn't do us any good. We need to fit it up under. So you can tuck it under, and you kind of have to loosen up your grip on this once you get it going. And then you just kind of tuck those back in like that. And like that. Now right now it's a little loose. If you look down in there, you can see this edge needs to be into that fold eventually. But right now we're going to leave it kind of loose because it'll be easier to work with, and we can tighten it up a little bit in a minute. So we're going to next put this point into my next color. And you can see this is the point that I messed up. So I tore it really badly. And so I just went ahead and removed the point, and that is because when you're slipping it in here, if you have like a flappy end, it's going to be really hard to do this. So I'm going to let it go with my right hand, loosen it up a little bit, and I'm going to tuck that in there, and then I'm going to just kind of slide it up a little bit more. So now I have 3. I'm going to flatten it. All right. So our next one, we're going to fit this short point into the long point of this. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to slide it under there. Once it's under, I'm going to release the tension because I was holding it kind of flat. So I'm going to release my hand here and just kind of set my hand at the back and push it up. Then I'm going to use my other hand to kind of fold these back in over it. Alright, so now I have 4, so I'm halfway done on my star. So we're going to keep going. They're really loose right now. Again, I just want to show you, eventually this edge here is going to go down into that crease. But for right now, we're leaving it kind of loose. It gives us some wiggle room to play with. I might push it up a little bit more. So now we're going to do again, we're going to come back to our bright orange color here. So I only have 4 colors. So we're going to slide it in. Tuck those in. That one slid all the way in. I didn't even really have to release my tension on that one. And I'm going to go ahead and slide that a little further up into it. You just kind of shake it and wiggle it. You do have to manhandle it a little bit to get them slid in there, but that is okay. So our next color should be this one. So I'm going to slide. These points are going in really easy. I don't know if y'all will have that easy of a time of it, or if I'm just practiced. So it should be looking kind of like that. It gets harder to manage here because your star is so big. But our next color, it's the same thing. Sliding it up under there. And I'm very gently holding it. It looks like I'm squeezing, but I'm not. Okay, so they're all really, really loose right now. But I'm going to just kind of tighten them up a little bit. I'm going to, starting with the one, I still have one more to add, but starting with that one I just did, I'm going to knock my camera over, and then I'm going to just kind of work it and slide it until, maybe I need to start over here. Alright, we're going to start with the first one actually, not the one I just did. So I'm going to slide it up until it's as far as it'll go. And then we're going to take this one. So I'm holding it by the point that I'm wanting to slide. And I'm just kind of pushing it up. And this one doesn't. There we go. You kind of have to work it and fiddle with it a little bit to figure out what angle it wants. That one went really easy. And that one went really easy. Nice. Alright, this one. Okay, we'll tighten that last one up. That's as far as I can get it because it's bumping into this one. But that's okay. We'll get it tight in a minute. Alright, so for our last one, this is definitely the hardest to put together. So this is our short point. If you're confused, you can look. It's the only one with 2 of the same color right now. So we're going to slide it into our big point of the other one. Like that. Tucking it in. Slide, slide, slide. I'm going to try to force this one a little bit more. Now, we have to get this little point into this one, which is our first big point. To do that, what I actually recommend doing is not, you can't slide. You can bend it and force it up under there, but there's an easier way to do it. Pull them apart a little bit. Go ahead, come in here and unfold your big point. Once you've unfolded it, tuck that little point in there, and then fold your big point. You might have to force it a little bit, but start folding your big point around it. You'll have to adjust a little. Whoop, I undid my star. I'm just tightening up my others. I need it really tight. And I'm tucking those folds back. I'm kind of forcing it into position here. Make sure you just don't mess up your point there. Alright, so you should have this. You can kind of squish it in the middle a little bit, but we're not quite tight enough. So now we're just going to start pushing them in so that all our corners are matching up. as much as we can. Some of them may not want to go. Some of them may need more coaxing than the others. And then our last one is really not wanting to. You can flip it too. And do it from the other side and then squish. And once it's as tight as you can possibly get it, which is about this tight, you should have a little bit of a hole in the center. That's how you know you've gotten it pretty tight. You should be able to see through it. And you will have your 8-pointed star. That is super pretty. And you can prop them up, like I have this one here. You can also add a string to it. You can string them up. You can string through the middle there and have sort of this pinwheel effect, or you can just glue or tape a string to the back side of your star and you can hang them. Lots of stuff you can do with these, but there is your 8-pointed star. Thank you.